Kia ora everyone. Happy New Zealand Music Month. I want to start with a big mihi to the MMF and the New Zealand Music Commission for having us and for flying in all of these wonderful skuxes from across the motu.
For the leg room I got on the plane.
And for the leg room even. Boosh. Love that for you, Natasha. We've got representation of some all-ages legends from across the motu, from the bottom of Te Waipounamu, from both ends of Te Ika Maui. I'm just going to pass over to you to introduce yourselves. But first, my name's Rosetta. You may know me from the 95BFM Breakfast Show. And I'm really, really stoked to be here chatting with you three about your really important mahi across the all-ages space. It's incredible that we have this opportunity to learn from these guys who are doing such cool mahi from all parts of the country. And what we can take from it for our own spaces here and across New Zealand. I'm going to let you introduce yourselves, talk a little bit about what you do. And I also want you to give us one word that you would use to describe the all-ages scene in your city at the moment. Abby?
Okay, good.
I knew you'd want to start, so.
Well, I'm here. It's just, morning everybody. My name is Abby Symes. I use they, them pronouns. I'm from Palmerston, North P-Naughty. It's so good to be in the big smoke. Gosh, what a place. True, it's big. The stomach. Does anyone know the stomach? Couple of you, that's good. You're about to. We've been there for 36 years. We're mostly funded by Palmerston North City Council and have been through that whole time. Some bits have been a bit sketchy, but we've always maintained that relationship. We've got rehearsal rooms, we've got a venue, and we've got a recording studio. Our goal is to be affordable, accessible, and all ages all the time. Basically the kaupapa is you can come with nothing and make as much noise as you want and no one's going to tell you to be quiet, which people really appreciate. I think that's kind of us in a nutshell. One word to describe our all ages scene at the minute. I'll put a hyphen and I'll say getting there.
Getting there.
We're getting there. Yeah, it's definitely happening. We're seeing it more than it was. I think COVID really knocked young people around about how they make music and what that looks like. But we're seeing more bands popping up, which is as wholesome as, and I'm here for it. I'll pass it over.
Love your mahi. Kia ora, I'm Natasha. I've come up here, those are my glasses, from Kupatai and Ōtepoti, and I've been around for a long time, working in different parts of the music scene, a very long time. In fact, when I was younger, I would have considered myself a crusty. That's what we used to. Is it still a word now? That's what we used to call. We used to call the older musicians and things crusties. It's a bit cruel, isn't it? We have an incredibly vibrant all-ages scene, and we don't have any funding. We do it with love and the mahi of people with experience. So rather than talk about myself, I'd just like to name some of the venues who are allowing the young people to go in and create the safe third spaces. I have got notes in case I forgot them. Pioneer Hall in Kupatai, Yours and Pearl Diver, and then once you turn 18, the Crown, and they're diverse, they're safe, and amazing gigs are happening, and they're being self-run by the young people ages 16 to 23. And I'm going to name some of those bands and acts now because a lot of them have worked really hard. They can't afford to tour, and I'm sure you've heard of them, but keep them in mind because I know
you've probably seen them on the Student Radio Network.
You
top
would have
10.
seen them on the Student Radio Network charts. You would have seen them arguing with the government in their music videos. You would have seen, they've all got a lot to say. So our current high school bands, SOG, Seek Help, Deaf Raccoon, Talking Furniture, Eris, Grace Gemma. It's so cool to say their names from the stage to you guys because I love all of these people. And the slightly older group, Kira Wallace, Civil Talk, Juno, Strap, Takahui, Bunchie's Big Score, Vagina Dry, and don't Google that. Just go onto Bandcamp for that. And I feel privileged to even be part of this amazing group of people who are doing this stuff that we'll talk more about. And I am Civil Talk's mum.
Momager. Love it. Thank you,
and
Natasha.
the word, when I think about all ages scene right now and I look around at all of the rangatahi, I think inspiring.
Malo, my name's Jesse. My name's Jesse Samu, that's right. I come from Whangārei, Te Aotearoa, all the way up from 2 hours north drive of here. So thank you very much for having me. It was a lovely trip down, and I was received at the door with someone saying, Jesse! And I was like, oh yeah, okay, cool. Yeah, I'm stoked to be here. So yeah, it's a lovely feeling to be sitting up here and representing 116, which is where I do a lot of my mahi. 116 is a performing arts space in Whangārei. It serves theatre, drama, theatre, comedy, music, obviously, but also workshops, and it's used as a community space as well. So it's a highly configurable space, is what our motto is. I'll talk a little bit more about what we do later on, but our one word is included. We don't have an all ages scene, it's just the scene. Yeah.
Awesome. I love that. You all have such an amazing gauge of, how the young people in your scene are doing and what they need. So I thought we could sort of start there with talking about what these all ages spaces actually are and what qualities a space needs in order to actually suit our rangatahi. Abby, what are the sort of qualities or attributes that you think are really important when making a space that not only, welcomes in under 18s, but actually makes it a safe, comfortable space for them to be creative?
Yeah, that's a great question.
Oh, thanks.
Great
Cheers.
question. I think that they need to have a bit of ownership on the space. I like... we always have a young person involved as our cleanliness technician, because then, they actually are doing the mahi to keep the space clean. They're encouraging their mates to keep the space clean because they don't want to pick up after their friends. But just their ownership and letting them have a say and have a space, and guiding them to put on shows, and even just to how they plug in and be respectful and ask for things that they need but not be a dickhead. It's just gentle guiding, but yeah, just letting them have some real autonomy over what they want to do. Also affordability, money's tight for everyone, especially for our young people who don't have jobs. It's just far out. If they can't afford a rehearsal room that week, we brush it off. Say you can run the door one night, it'll all balance out. It's just trying to remove barriers for people, keeping them safe. It's about creating that community in your space so that you know who's involved and who people can go to if they do feel unsafe. Just trying to create community, I think, is really important too. Everyone needs connection, and it does them a world of good connecting. Not just young people, but older musicians, and even the people who started the Stomach still hang around, and it's cool to just hear them sharing stories and being back in the day, it's we don't really talk about those back in the days because it wasn't all. But yeah, good, it's all good, mate.
Abby, those are the crusties.
That's the crusties. When you said that, I went like this. Oh my, is that me? Am I heading into a crusty part of my life story? I wasn't really stoked, but that's good to know. Good. Does that answer that wonderful question?
Yeah, totally. And I think something that we can really jump on there is that agency element, and the fact that a lot of these young people are obviously wanting to get into all parts of putting on a gig and making music, right? Jesse, that's something that at 116 you're sort of trying to guide them to do pretty much everything themselves with the necessary mentorship. Yeah,
we run for the last 4 years, we've run a series of rangatahi-led performance gigs. So yeah, from the planning stages to the budgeting to finding the money to pay the people to the ticketing, everything's run by young people. And that was started from one high school student coming to us and saying, hey, look, I want to do something with my band. And we said, yeah, cool, okay. And I did a bit of a goal setting session with them where we looked at, why are you part of a band? What are you getting out of it? Where do you want to go? And their one goal was to record their own song. And so we looked at, okay, let's look at some recording studios. We were looking to come down to Tamaki to record. And they looked at some of the pricing and their eyes started watering. And then they said, well, how do we make that money? I said, well, let's put some gigs on. And so that's really how it formed. And it was done in such a beautiful, organic way. And again, had ownership over it because it was so much of them driving it. I would just be there to sort of scaffold and sit around until I was needed, and I'd come and get a tap on the shoulder. But yeah, it started from there, and so it was really easy to find other rangatahi to. That young man ended up going to university, and we kind of filled the space really easily because it was such a clear pattern for young musicians to want to run a gig, to earn some money, to then record their song. It's quite an easy sort of template to follow. So yeah, and then again, it's an all ages space. We can have everyone running the door is underage. They have youth. We have a radio station at 116 called Beagle Radio. Shout out Beagle. And they are interviewed by young people. So yeah, it's kind of every way that there can be involvement is through rangatahi input. Yeah.
Jesse, the word scaffolding, I think.
I stole that from you the other day.
Yeah, Jesse, you stole that word from me. No, I was going to say it's something we all do have in common, and it's rather than like, you should do this because we know best, but it's like, what would you like to do? What can we do behind the scenes to allow you? Like someone may come to me and say, we're releasing a cover of a Clean song and David Kilgour's played on it, but we need to work out how to do that digitally, so this is how you get the mechanical license for that. And they go off and do that, and then they release it, and it's really cool.
And the song rips.
Yeah, it was SOG. And so, yeah, the scaffolding, behind the scenes is really important, especially it sounds like in your places as well, the DIY thing is like they want to DIY, and they want to just learn. So that's what we can provide with the scaffolding.
Yeah, I think there's so much to say about the learning part. It's because it's their own project. They have the ownership over it. They want to learn, like we all do. But then, these skills are so transferable. We're going away from just talking about young musicians to just people developing. And when we talk about transferable skills, we can set these young people up for so much success from just a little blip from running a gig. And there's so many skills that you can pick up. There's the self-accountability, which is a really big one, working with people, relationships, connecting with people, having time management. So, when we can zoom out from all of this and say that we're actually, instead of just putting gigs on for rangatahi, and we use this word engagement a lot. We're actually connecting rangatahi to their community and then building them up with skills to then transfer off into, hey, maybe they don't want to be a musician when they finish school or another part of their life, but the skills that they've picked up along that way is going to benefit them so much. So
music is the vehicle for this mahi that is much more about community building.
Yeah, that's spot on, mate.
Cool, I'm glad we're on the same page then. Natasha, let's talk a bit about your mahi in Otepoti, Dunedin, because I know you work, we've talked about all ages spaces as these sort of venues, the Stomach and 116, but you're sort of making all ages spaces in quite a holistic way in terms of mentorship with these bands outside of specific sort of venues. What does that look like for you?
My inbox is very full. I love it. I feel so privileged, and what we have at the moment is an incredible community, and they're all at a stage now where they are, being noticed nationwide. They're playing incredible gigs, sold out shows, organising them, and at the same time, we live in a city where we should really learn from what has happened in the past. We have an incredible musical legacy, but we also have some sadness there, and mental health is such an important part of this, and we don't want what has happened to some of our wonderful artists in the even in the recent past to happen to this generation, and just kind of realising that. And one of my favourite things about what is happening at the moment, apart from the kick-ass music, there's about to be a bunch of releases and it's going to blow your minds, is the community. And probably about 6 or 7 years ago, I was saying it a lot, and it was just a word. It's like community, 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 community. And now that it's there, like we have the slightly older group that I was talking about who are like, 20 to 23. And then we have the high school group as well. And the older group formed this beautiful community, and they all look out for one another, and they're all like interrelated in their groups. And then they kind of turned around and went, oh, here's some young ones, come and join this community. And they went, okay. And everyone, the relationships are just so beautiful, and they all turn up for one another. Like Ollie from SOG knows that Eris often have problems with their pedals, so he'll turn up at every Eris gig and help them with their pedals beforehand, things like that. Or was SOG again, it was Rue, the drummer, hadn't quite set up his drum kit, so Jack from Juno was up the front and had to jump up several times to fix the kit. Everyone will be there all the time. And then we have like photographers like Ethan, who's up here as a Radio 1 intern. His work's been published in Rolling Stone and such like. We have zine makers, we have poster designers, and they're also interconnected now that I can kind of just stand back and keep going, oh, that's a community, but I don't need to be shouting it anymore. They are a community. And, this is an age group that have gone through a very strange time. A lot of isolation with COVID, and then kind of this MAGA-influenced world that has trickled down to our country and then down to our city. So if you have heard our bands, you know that they have a lot to say about that. They don't hold back, and that's really amazing. And the community is allowing the artists to be who they really, really want to be, and I think that's why the music is so special. And but yeah, when you are like, these are musicians, and they've been musicians since I met them, and they're not like up-and-coming musicians or they're going to be a musician one day. When you meet someone, whatever age they are, and they have that drive, and this might come from a little anecdote. My brother, Shane Carter, was learning the guitar through the walls, and I was little, I was about 5 or 6, and I never kind of thought, oh, he'll be a musician one day. I don't think anyone thought that. It's like, he is a musician. And because they're treated with that respect, our musicians are being musicians, but everyone in this room knows that being a musician is a blessing and a curse, and that's something to be really aware of, and to look out for one another and put in the support systems that we can. Again, I don't mean to complain, but I have some council envy. We're all doing this mahi ourselves, those on the outskirts. There's no investment, but the other option is to not do it, which is not an option, and the reward is there. And as soon as we can get our bands touring with some funding, you will all feel it too. So yeah, that's the really important thing. And if anyone here is working on the outskirts of those scenes, or just really remember that we want to keep them safe.
For sure. There's a lot of really beautiful sort of intergenerational mentoring happening in Ōtepoti as well, which is true of, the Dunedin scene for a long time, but particularly at the moment, you talk about the song with David Kilgore, and then we were talking about the Life in One Chord premiere, and you booked a bunch of all ages bands to play that. That's quite special.
Yeah, I'd love to talk about that, because that was amazing. That was a turning point, I think. I had the privilege of, we had like 1,300 people coming for the world premiere of Life in One Chord, and I was allowed to do the music. And the Regent don't normally do music at the film festivals, but they let us. And so imagine if you're in a band and this is your brief. So pick a Shane Carter song, you're going to play it in front of 300 people, 1,300 people, not 300, 1,300 people. Because of the film that's playing before, we're all going to be in the alleyway until 15 minutes before you play. So what we're going to do is like run in, but don't run, because Nelson from the Regent doesn't want you to run. And then everyone's going to set up your gear, and you can't have a sound check. You might get a line check, but and then you're going to play your songs in front of all these people, and a lot of them are from the older Dunedin scene, and that'd be great, eh? And the people that I asked all said yes right away, because they're ready. And it was Izzy Fife, who was UB Pasta Blaster, who did an ambient version, a noise version of Smoke from Dimmer. Sog played Bridesmaid. Civil Talk joined in for Crystallizer, and Kira Wallace did an acoustic live in one chord. And they had a captive audience of people who kind of went, oh, we have this new generation now, and they're really doing it. And then at the same time, Margaret, the director, made sure that there were free tickets for all the young people who wanted to go. So a lot of people discovered the lineage through that movie. And then since then, of course, we've had the Clean Book, and a lot of young people got to see a version. And David and Bob play Clean songs as well at the recent book launch with Josh Nichols. And that was just like, the looks on everyone's faces, absolutely amazing.
Yeah. And
I think what's kind of come from that is just this, I took Shane to some gigs last year, and he said, oh, Tash, look, I know you've been going on and on about it and sending me all these videos, but you're absolutely right. Like, this is the same energy as it was back in the day. And I kind of thought, well, that's really great. But I couldn't quite comprehend what that meant until I was reading the Clean Book, and the parallels are amazing. The community, the ambition, the everything, and so it really does feel like something is happening again. Robert Scott just sang backing vocals on the Bunchies' Big Score album. Everyone gets name checked by the older musicians, and it's just Civil Talk did an interview recently, and he said, I think in 30 years when I get asked about the Dunedin sound, I'll say, which one?
Beautiful. I love what you were saying about the reaction of all of those sort of slightly older crowds to the young bands, and being like, wow, okay, there's a next wave here that we need to tap into. And I know that there'll be a lot of rangatahi here who are really tapped into their all ages scene, but perhaps also some musicians who are thinking about, what's in it for me to tap into my all ages scene and to put on all ages gigs. Abby, tell us a little bit about the crowds at an all ages gig in Te Papaioia. What are they like? I'm imagining they show up and they're ready to go.
Yeah, they are. And that's really interesting. Like, back in the day when I was going to gigs, it didn't matter who was on. Like, we'd just go because we wanted to hang out with our friends, and it wasn't youth group at church. And so it was like, man, that's awesome. And so we'd just go. But I find these days, like, with the internet, people are sort of like searching the bands up before they go. And they're like, oh, well, I don't really like it. It's like, it doesn't matter. Like, you've got to experience the live performance. So the thing that's really different with the youth bands, one, a bunch of them don't have stuff online yet. And two, it's that like root of it doesn't matter because you're my people, Like, so they'll bring all their friends and their whānau and their extended whānau, Like, it's really special. And we had a youth show just the other week. One band had never really played before, and just watching like the more experienced bands just like nurture them through it and what they need to do, and sharing like drum consumables and stuff. It was just really sweet. To see it. I also spoke to one of the drummer's family, and I was like, what an incredible like drummer you've got there. And she was like, we didn't know he could play the drums. Like, he only told us this evening that the show was on. And I was like, oh, amazing. Like, he's been coming for weeks, and he like is so keen to learn and asking questions and wants to be involved. Like, you should be really proud of him. And yeah, they were just blown away that one, he could play drums, and two, he was in a band. Like, and they just saw that sort of like leadership and pride come out of him that they hadn't seen before. So that's really awesome, and I think it has to do with like they felt safe in that space. They knew what they could do and what was expected of them, and they just like did it so proudly. It blew the parents away, and it made me go, yeah, like, they're shining in our space. Hopefully they'll start like showing that shine to their whānau as well,
Hard.
So yeah, all ages shows are my favourite, and I say to bands, touring bands, we always say there has to be a local band on the lineup.
Cool.
But we're pushing even more now to chuck another local band up, even if it's a youth band and they only play like three songs. They're still going to bring all their friends. They're going to get that stage experience. Like, I'll set up for them if they're going to play 3 songs. It doesn't matter as long as they're up there giving it a hoon. It's it's really special to
And
be
it's
able
a win for that touring band as well, right? Like they get a better crowd.
Yeah.
And you're lifelong, like a longer life crowd as well. You're catching them young. I remember my first gig.
Yeah.
I remember exactly where I was standing, and I still really like that band. So I think you've got like these really formative years where like really great memories are made. And so if you're a touring band and you're booking, you book in a local band, even better, a rangatahi band, you're now bringing all these amazing young people along to experience it, and they're going to remember it. I remember, shout out to Where's Jai, they came up to, they're over here, they came up to 116, and they brought in, like, I thought I was pretty tapped into the Whangārei youth music scene, but
Nothing
they brought
like a
in,
cool young band to humble you,
Oh my
eh?
goodness, I'm considering shaving this on and trying to get it for a younger look, because man, there was like people there that I've never seen or even thought were interested in music, but I saw them rocking out right up the front. They were lining up for autographs at the back, and that's because they feel such a connection to this band. And I think another thing to say to that as well, like, we can learn so much from young people. We often get into this thing of like, well, we've got an intern, or we've got rangatahi coming in, and they're going to shadow me, which is all great, but we can learn so much from them as well. Like, I was just, I'm constantly. I'm now like watching Where's Jive, like, writing some notes. I can't do the videos that they're doing, but I'm like, okay, cool. So I'll pass some of the tips that I'm like watching you guys do, and being like, look at this band, they're doing it, like, take some tips, because they're really front-footing this whole thing. So I think, while I can share as much as I can, the relatability aspect of the rangatahi scene and rangatahi for rangatahi is going to outweigh anything that I can teach rather than just experience and give experiences to. So
I think also with that. Sorry, Nat.
That's okay.
With
I'm sure what you say is going to be amazing.
With touring bands, like finding local young bands, it's also like, don't just ask them to play, like, connect with them and talk to them about your experience and what it's like, because they'll want to stick around and see your band play. And I'm finding that a bit of a struggle with our young bands, is like they peel off after they've played. It's like, nah, stay and like enjoy the whole show, and they go, like, okay, cool, and then the show's over and they're buying a t-shirt and getting the whole band to sign it, and I just go, oh, cute, like that's really special to you. And I remember that when I was young, like a band would play at school. It happened like once, and I got them to sign my arms, and all afternoon I was riding around the neighbourhood on my bike with my arms out, like, because I got all these signatures. I was like, oh, that's so sweet, like that's what you want to be doing, and it's just really awesome to be engaging with them and seeing this like excitement, and then they see themselves that could be them one day. So it's so sweet,
For better or worse.
A good reminder as well that community building mahi is not just up to the people that are facilitating the spaces and mentoring, but it's between rangatahi as well, and it's the touring bands, like you say, doing a little bit more than just booking them on the lineup, but making the effort to connect.
Yeah, we've got like quite a intentional. We've been doing a whole lot of stuff and just throwing things at the wall and seeing what sticks. But we're finding what's really helpful for us as an organisation now is seeing who are the leaders in our community and who are really wanting to do things, and then wrapping a whole lot of support around them, because they're the ones that are going to go and connect to the wider rangatahi, and they're the ones that are going to be the cool kids. So if I can support these, maybe a handful of young people out in these schools to come in and do a gig, then they're going to bring in 2 other bands for their gig, and then that's how we can sort of start to really organically grow our connection to young people and be inviting them into our space in quite an organic way, and then it looks at that young person that is really keen on developing their music, developing their knowledge around the industry, and they're the ones that, hey, look, in 3 years they're going to go off and go to university. I hope they'll come back, but it doesn't matter, you know. It now means that, hey, you've just linked us into 50 young people that we have never would have thought we'd had a connection to, and now, you know, one of those 50 young people are like coming through and they're wanting to do a gig. So it's really looking at, you know, my time is obviously you guys are the same. We have limited resources, and so it's trying to best use those limited resources. I would love to just go and connect to every child, every rangatahi, and be like, yo, what do you want to do?
Yeah, if they walk through the door, they really want to be there, which is amazing.
Yeah.
I just wanted to talk about an anecdote from Beast Wars, actually. NATO contacted me and said, I know you probably have lots to say, but I'd really love to tell you something that could be really useful for this, and especially for any older musicians or promoters here. Older, keep using the word older. He said, we just did not...
crusty, mate.
Yeah. No one here is crusty. He said, Beast Wars just did not invest in all ages shows. We did all R18 and didn't even think about it. And now looking at what you're doing in Ōtepoti, like we've had AW, HDU, Shane all do half price tickets for under 18s, or in some cases free. And that's actually happening on all of Shane's shows around the country too. And he said, you know, we just didn't even think about it. And our last tour was not sold out. We had the smaller crowds and we didn't have the younger people there, and we're a bit stupid. So, you know, that's something we really should have done and would like to. So this is Beast Wars saying, make sure you do that. Think about that and include the young people. You know, they're a supervised license as well. They can come with their parents. And I said to him, well, it's not too late. You're still doing your R18 shows, so make it pay your age up until you're like 25, you know. So if young people can get in for that $23 or $22 instead of $50, and because that is a really big thing, you know, they can't afford these shows, or invite some, just allocate 10 tickets and get someone in the community to get the people who really want to go, because they really want to be there.
Yeah, I think that's a really cool thing for us to touch on before we jump into some questions soon. You know, bands who are wanting to make their shows more accessible to young people, aside from just booking an all-ages venue, because we know that those can be limited in different parts of the country, what are some ways in which bands can make their shows a bit more appropriate and accessible to rangatahi?
Just what I was saying about the ticketing thing.
Pricing, yeah.
But also when, like, in Dunedin, it's not just the older legacy bands. Like, one of the most revered bands is Die, which shouldn't be a surprise. And their story has a lot of synergy as well. I first met Andrew Wilson when he was 15, and I was booking an all-ages HDU show, and he rang me up and said, my name's Andrew, and the band that you've got from high school that's playing is shit, and we love HDU, and we should be playing too. And I went, okay. And he's like, what? And that was Carriage H, and that's when I first met Andrew and Mikey. And, you know, their story is such an amazing story for our rangatahi in Ōtepoti, because they started off at high school. They won Rock Quest, and they're the last Dunedin band to win Rock Quest, I think, even though we had 2 representing this year and a 3rd place getter, Seek Help. And I'm like, so much to say. So when Andrew came down with AW recently, he and I did a Q&A at Pioneer Hall, and 40 plus people caught a bus out there, and we talked. I asked him the questions, and he answered most of them, and it was just really inspiring. And, you know, the fact that many people turned up shows that people wanted to hear about it. And we're about, you know, because that band at a young age toured overseas and played 1,000 shows plus overseas, which is just insane. So, and then the next day he played a show, all ages, at Pioneer Hall, played at the Crown the night before, and had 2 young bands open. And then afterwards, because everyone had met him the day before, you know, they were trying out his pedals and his guitar, and, you know, it was just like amazing. So if you have time, when you are on tour and have a couple of hours, find someone in the community who'll round up some kids and go and talk to them. don't expect them to ask lots of questions because not everyone is a question answer. Ask the questions yourself and, get the answers for them.
I think, I 100% agree with you. And that there's so many things that our
That's
artists
good.
can do. Yeah. There's so many things that our artists can be doing, but I also think there could be a lot more support from our local council and government to get these rangatahi safely to our gigs. You've got there's obviously considerations from bands. You've got restricted drivers have a curfew and, kind of working that into your program as much as you can. It's not realistic sometimes, and that's okay. But I know Australia is doing a lot of work in their sort of provincial states to give petrol or travel vouchers to young people. They can get a ticket for free to a great gig that they want to go to see, that they know that they can get there safely. They did a whole lot of the push was pushing a lot of surveys out into Australian young people, and a lot of and I'm sure it would be reflected here a little bit more in our cities, but might look differently in rural. They didn't feel safe to get to the gig, and that is a huge barrier. That is one that transcends music. That becomes now, how are we looking after these young people in general? If they can't get around their city or their town or get to somewhere safely, then that's something that really needs to be addressed. And then once they feel safe to move around and enjoy their space, then that's going to unlock so much opportunity and so much potential for these young people. So and us too. So I think being able to have some support from our local council and government to open up the barriers that we're finding with our young people to get to the place. Safety being the main one. Transport. Sometimes it's just money for the ticket. A lot of people will just turn up if they know it's a free ticket. But I think there can be some support like what we're seeing in Australia. Hopefully that starts getting reflected over here as well.
I'm really glad you put that up because it's about the mahi outside of the gigs again, right? This is a little bit of a surprise maybe, but Dunedin has a drinking culture. Not with our young people actually. There's not drinking at these all ages gigs at all. They're just not interested. They just want to play rock and roll or ambient or whatever. But there is a council-funded venue, Te Whare, which is... But no one wants to play there because just a few paces away is the Octagon bar drinking area, and it's not a nice place to go as any sort of person. So it's just basically avoided. Yours is fortunately around the corner. You can go up that way. And Pioneer Hall, the gigs are designed around the bus, and unfortunately, we don't have a very safe bus hub in Dunedin either, but you can get off a couple of stops early. So, be like, okay, the bus leaves in 10 minutes, this is our last song. And then people catch the bus together, and that has just worked really well.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it is.
That's really cool.
And I'd also like to, just before I forget, talk about earplugs.
Yeah.
We have done workshops and whiteboarding, and, part of what we can do as the older people is... what we didn't do right, so many of us have lost parts of our hearing. So we've even done the whiteboard and what happens when noise goes into your ear and what your eardrum does. So now we provide the free earplugs at all of the venues, and everyone is wearing them. You go in and everyone, and if they're not, a band will be about to play and they'll be like, okay, we're going to start in a moment. If you haven't got earplugs, go and get them. And then they put them in. I mean, doesn't that sound weird to us older people?
But also incredibly hardcore to be just so you know, this is going to get loud and awesome. So prepare yourself.
So we've, for in Dunedin, it's no longer toilet paper in your ears that you used to have to go to the doctor on the Monday and get pulled out. We have earplugs and they wear them. So that's something really good for everyone to do. Yeah, it's punk to wear earplugs.
Yeah, totally. I think this is a great chance. We're sort of circled back to the greater community responsibility to look after our young people and how music can be the vehicle for that. I think now is a good chance to throw out to the crowd to see if there's any pātai, any questions that anyone might have for our wonderful panellists. Willa's got a mic that she's going to hand around.
We should get some music playing while we're running.
I'm used to radio and I can just sort of fade up the bed music to fill the silence.
Okay. 2, 1, 2. Here we go.
There we go.
Hi guys, so I'm here with Fig Jamming and we do a lot of grassroots music promotion and events. One thing we've noticed is that in a digital age, it's a lot trickier to build a community in person. I'm just wondering if you guys have any tips or advice on how to create these younger communities in a world that is ever-changing from physical space into digital space.
Where are you guys from?
So we're based North Shore, Waikato, but we do things all around the country.
Okay, so find a cool hall who will let you put gigs on, and find a cool production person who will put the PA in. That's what happened at Pioneer Hall. Jonathan Holloway was, built a PA up out of nothing for a couple of years, but then the band started to get really good, and it's like, they're using dynamics now because they've all just seen HDU. So we had to get a boosted campaign, just a little bit, just to make that happen. But find a space and just start inviting everyone and saying, for like a meeting, like who wants to get the space up and running as our community. And I know I'm saying find a space like it sounds easy, but look around. There'll be one somewhere. Like this was very unexpected, Pioneer Hall. It's a little hall that holds 100 in Port Chalmers, and you pay $80 for the hall hire and $250 for the PA and production and sound person, and it's very pastoral care. And that's kind of like you can do yours for free and then gravitate to that. But put a call out and just make a place for everyone to turn up in person and just say, hey, what do we want to do? I mean, you young people from Aotearoa who have done that, is that a good call, like just round everyone up in person and start it? Because that's kind of what you guys did, right?
Word of mouth.
Word of mouth, yeah. And be the people that start it.
I think also what I find to get people to gigs is not just send out a Facebook invite, actually hit them up, either send them a personal message, come to the show. I think it would be really great because everything is so washed out in your feeds these days. It's like it's all advertising, but if you're actually connecting and saying I want you there, they go, oh, okay, cool. It's that human level to it. And I think, again, put a youth band on a lineup. I think it just takes one show for a young person to go, oh, cool, this is awesome.
And that is the next phase, I know kind of the bit that I was talking about was the phase before as well. Yeah, just round up all the bands who want to play, all the artists who want to play, all the people who want to put on gigs, start talking about it and then start walking the walk, and it will just happen. And then you're doing what Abby's saying, then you're rounding up the audiences, and they are there. They are waiting for you. They're waiting for the call,
We often put a post up just on our socials, be like, want to play? And we get all these messages be like, yeah, I want to play. And it's like, wow, this is a motley lineup, but let's do it. And it's giving people an opportunity, and it's good.
I think that's about it. We've got one more minute. One more really quick question.
Kia ora, thanks for your contributions. I'm Jess, I'm a musical comedian, but also a musician. And my question's around the kind of content of the gigs, and that as comedians, that's why we have a restriction of age. If you can speak to that in the next 30 seconds, go for it.
I reckon we never censor our people, but as long as you're not a grot, then I reckon go for it. Couple of swears here and there. The youths love a couple of swears, but don't be a grot. If you think it's a grotty thing to say, probably sing about something else.
Yeah, don't be mean.
Yeah, don't be mean. Don't
unless
be
unless it's to the government or something like that. Be mean to the right people. I don't know, I'll just in 20 seconds say really quickly that the Dunedin
Yeah.
City Council had 2 of our young bands, Steph Raccoon and Seek Out, play at the Octagon, didn't pay them for months, and then have been still complaining about them 5 months later and saying it wasn't as good as Fireworks would have been. And it's just been a really, really big thing, and they're not going to get any young bands playing now. And they had a couple of swear words, but they weren't that bad. And yeah, I mean, there's a lot to swear about at the moment.
You can't please everyone, that's for sure. Hey, thank you all so much for sharing your whakaaro with us. Thank you everyone for your attention and for showing up early. It's been so cool to learn a little bit from you all.